super grateful for not just the darkness, but for the container that you build. It's immaculate. It's immaculate. I think it's as much about the container as it is about the dark. The darkness requires an honesty that I didn't have any role model in. It's an honesty that's before all of the teachings and the gurus and the lectures and the spirituality. It's just way before that. And it's like what are you afraid to feel? And then welcoming it in. That takes honesty. I have to have the courage to show the fear or to acknowledge it and say what it is. But you have this incredible way of helping me bring it back into the body that I didn't have the words for. And I'm very appreciative of that. I feel like I have a new relationship with my body. Naming the fear. And I don't just mean saying it. I mean naming it with an awareness that's coming from deep inside you. But if you can name the fear and get it there, get it out there, that's a big shifting point for me, because I've been bottling it up, right? And then glossing it over with a lot of fancy talk. And it's more primal. It's like, the darkness is coming down on you and the earth is coming up on you, and none of that bullshit works. And it's just like, it's you and me, baby. You and me, primal. And so that honesty rattles you for a second because you're not used to it and you can't manipulate it and you have to surrender to it, right? But in that space, in honesty, if you can say the fear, I fear being abandoned, then your tools helped me. Okay, now what do I do with that? What do I do with that, right? And because I could sit in the darkness having named it, and I could feel my body, my nervous system going down, but I didn't have the tools yet to kind of say, okay, where in the body are you feeling this? Mm-hmm. Okay, so for me, there's a lot of issues with my stomach. Maybe for others, it's somewhere else. That's okay. But what's feeling right? What's feeling safe in this moment? And then connecting those together. Without overthinking it. Without trying to manipulate it. It's more of like a felt surrender. It's like a okay, so but if I could get myself calm enough to release into the feeling of that, then I could find that place that was easy and soft and blissful. Even in the midst of all the fragility. You stop being scared of the fragility. And you feel into how it's the way it's got to be. And so it's like I look at the somatic dark work as going back to the beginning before language was even a thing that created culture, that created religions, that created philosophies. Like, it's a felt sense of knowing in the darkness. And we've piled so much on top of it that it's hard for me to wade through it all. But this is primal. It might be like the first version of consciousness, like where consciousness came from. But I think that there's something in how you hold the container which is equally as important to the dark. So I just want to acknowledge that. I've been in enough ceremony spaces to know the difference. And I couldn't have done it without you. It would have been too easy to just sit there and duke it out. I'm a tough guy. I could just be in the dark for a couple days. This sucks. But the constantly going back to the floor, to connecting to the breath, to exploring the body, it can be exhausting. I'm sure you're really good at it, so it just happens naturally, but for me, it's not natural. It's super hard. And you can feel that moment when you're just starting to bullshit yourself. You know? There's that moment right there. And you're like, oh shit. You know? And now I fear for myself out here and, you know, plugging back in, looking at emails, getting back into life and doing things like, am I going to be able to regulate that the right way? Not through the mind, but through the body. Right? Because the truth is that was a baby step. You know, you gave me this beautiful glimpse of what is possible, but it's like now the work begins. And I don't mean work like it's some school project. I mean the work of the commitment to the surrendering, to the feeling. I am going to be a feeler. That's the commitment. I'm going to be a feeler, not a thinker from now on. The thinking will take care of itself. I want to be a feeler. In some ways, I think it's like a more advanced language. Then, you know, I mean, that sounds a little weird, but that's a more advanced language than talking. And I feel like I'm like learning the alphabet. You know? Just learning the alphabet. Oh, this is what... I wouldn't have been able to get to that beautiful sense if you hadn't helped. I was struggling with the, okay, David, now you've identified this fear. And now that turning into yourself and looking at it, and then that was the hardest part for me. And it was helpful to create, because I was doing it too much with my mind, right? And it helped me to lay on the ground and start thinking about the whole body. And then I could figure out the bridge into that location that was suffering and needed healing. And sometimes it was the neck, and sometimes it was the belly, and sometimes it was my face getting tight. But then I could connect to some other part of me that was fine. I'm doing great. Come over here. This is what it feels like to do great. I want to practice that more.